You know what's going to happen if Kamala Harris wins the election? I'm going to get up the next day. I'm going to put my on and I'm going to go to work.
Right.
I'm going to do what I do every day.
Correct.
You know what I mean? Unfortunately, if Trump wins, probably going to be a lot of people that put the shoes on and get out and start protesting in the streets and acting like idiots, shutting down streets so people can't get to work and can't. I hate protesting.
Right.
I hate protesting. I feel like when you protest, you turn people against you, not for your cause, but against your cause.
There is so much here from UFC president and MAGA loyalist Dana White and former NFL player turned podcast host Robert Griffin III, who just senselessly nods along, even laughing with White, to not ruffle any feathers.
It kind of feels like you think the UFC is the real America and what it should be like. It
100%.
should be free.
This is basically how it went. It was an embarrassing display with zero pushback, but this is the media ecosystem that has been created over the last few, if not decade or so years. Another example.
When people think back on your career as with the UFC, how do you want to be remembered? As a man, as a businessman, whatever.
I want my kids to think I was a good dad.
That's such a great answer.
Would a good dad do this? Would a good dad put their hands on the mother of their children not once but twice? On New Year's Eve in Cabo San Lucas, Mexico? Would a good dad commit an act of domestic violence? Ask yourself. Quite a legacy to leave behind, but just to show more of how this went.
Yeah, man, we appreciate this, and we're huge fans of the UFC and what you've been able to do. I've never heard a person say a bad thing about you involved in your business.
Thank you.
So that means you're doing your business the right way.
It was just a smooch fest. It was a session to get in the good graces without offering a sliver of criticism. And remember when these two gave White what can ultimately be deemed a pass as well?
But when I saw that, I was like, all right, what you're telling me is if you're friends with the guy, you're going to give him a pass, because I can assure you, as a Knicks fan and as someone who likes that show and respects Stephen A. tremendously, if James Dolan is on camera doing that exact same thing, is he saying the same thing?
Not all of us went along with it, as Ariel Helwani explained. Let's go back to that first line, though, the hating protest one, shall we?
We're getting rid of the Pelotons. Pelotons are out of the gym. My guys are going to take the Pelotons out of the gym today.
I love that, dude. Yeah.
We're getting rid of them. We're going to go throw them in the garbage.
Because to my recollection, you would remove Pelotons out of your UFC gyms out of protest, because they didn't agree with a stance someone took on a show and didn't want to sponsor it. I mean, do we not remember any of this? Talk about operating in bad faith. It is very clear to Dana White, it is protests for me, not for thee, that he lives by.
Technology, like I say. I've been sitting here talking to you guys for however long, talking about how great technology is. Technology has its downsides too. You know, when you have social media now, and everybody can have an opinion or whatever. And the other big thing is where you're going with this is misinformation.
Yeah.
When misinformation gets out there, it's, you don't know what's real and what's not real when you're looking at stuff on social media.
Let's pause here. Speaking of misinformation, and God, where do we even start with Dana White? When promoting Power Slap, which by the way has been widely condemned by doctors, neurosurgeons, I mean, anyone who has a medical degree and will be honest about what we're seeing has condemned it. White said the league's ascent boasts a larger following than any other professional sport or team, including Real Madrid. So that's an insane thing to say. And the reason it's insane is because you didn't have to do that, but you did. And you showed yourself again.
It was clear. His highest priority was always the health and safety of everyone in our country.
He would say this of Donald Trump's response to COVID, a blatant lie and telling misinformation conducted by White at the RNC.
I have said it before, and I will say it again. He is one of the most loyal human beings I have ever met.
By the way, tell that to the contractors that he has stiffed. Tell that to an architect named Andrew Tesoro, who nearly lost his business because of Donald Trump. Tell that to the workers that he employs and does not give a fair wage to. Tell that to Marty Rosenberg in Atlantic City, New Jersey. Tell that to his former cabinet members who refuse to endorse him because they know him and what he is like, his policy, the way he talks about, God, where do I even go with this? Certain things, certain leaders, women, immigrants. The Atlantic piece that just came out recently is stuff can't even really move me that much anymore because we know who this individual is. And yet Dana White is saying that, he's one of the most loyal people. He's not. He's loyal to you because you're worth boatloads of money. That's why he's loyal to you. And you also know you should be loyal to each other because it's good for business. The UFC has served as the sporting vehicle for the Trump campaign and his re-election bid. And it's been happening for a while now. You've also talked about the currying of favors that you have received. You have gloated about the calls that you guys have had. You have gloated about going to the White House time and time again. It is quite clear at this point. He does have a certain loyalty, though, I will say.
Our founders built in to the Constitution and to the way our government operates, built in a lot of checks and balances, and didn't design the government to be streamlined and whatnot. So, but certainly the former president is in the far right area. He's certainly an authoritarian, admires people who are dictators. He has said that. So he certainly falls into the general definition of fascist, for sure.
As we just heard, retired four-star General John Kelly, who was one of Donald Trump's White House chiefs of staff, told the New York Times Donald Trump would rule like a fascist if reelected. Kelly also spoke to The Atlantic's editor-in-chief Jeffrey Goldberg for a new piece which quotes Donald Trump as once having said, "I need the kind of generals that Hitler had."
And there would be more crap on this podcast session.
I think the biggest problem is that real journalists do not exist anymore. There used to be this level of integrity with journalists that when you read something, you believed it because it was from a certain reporter or a paper that was well respected.
Correct.
It doesn't exist anymore. Just all the integrity is gone.
Which is false. The integrity is not gone. The reason that journalists, by the way, not that I need to give a history lesson, the reason why journalists are becoming unemployed and or leaving the industry is because of billionaires, to name some, Sinclair, have bought out local newspapers and shut them down. That is why there is a lack of oversight at the local level and why there are so few journalists still in the industry, because it's dwindling. And to go with integrity, there were a lot of journalists who had more integrity than you do, Dana White. You know what you did with them? You limited their access. You didn't allow them to ask objective questions. Someone with integrity does not go over there and glaze Dana White. Someone with integrity in the media does not say, "Can I get branded because I want to show my loyalty to you, Dana, and the UFC?" That's not integrity. That's what Dana White's vision of integrity is, when really he knows that it's farcical. It's not true. What he wants is not anyone who will question his power. What he wants is people who will fall in line. That's the difference. If you can and are willing, please become a paid member here at TYT Sports. And or go to tyt.com/join. In addition, you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Appreciate it. Have a great day.